let's get started then. This is the first thing what I would like to share with you guys today, and that was really very exciting actually to discover. Very recent research, September 2024, as you see it on your screens. The guys conducted this survey in August this year across all the kind of a US population, and what they have uncovered that the over 39% of US population with the age between, I think, 18 and 64 years old, 39% of the entire population have used AI either in their work or in their kind of education or in their any other activities, after work activities, etc. So this is way faster than everybody were expecting. So this is way faster than the sort of a computer adoption, internet adoption. You can see that on the screen. So we are here with the AI. So just after a couple of years, we have already 39% of people using AI almost on a daily basis. So this is a very, very this is the craziest pace what we have there, and probably within the next 2 years we will be somewhere over here. So over 50%, definitely over 50%. So this is what it tells us, that the adoption is actually going very, very fast. We need to get as an educators, we have to know that we have to see and take some actions. Actually, so the next insight what I would like to share is that how many of us actually across all the jobs are using AI at work. So you see the education sphere here. So 38.4% of people actually are kind of using generative AI at work. In education sphere, there are already 38% people actually are using generative AI. So this is again very, very quickly developing, and it's very good that you're here today and you're actually making some steps in order to get sort of an AI powered, or to get these AI skills, and that's what we actually do at voicee as well. So, and this is the last one what I would like to share with you. We got this for some months now, but that was a very, very exciting actually to learn that the majority of leaders actually wouldn't hire someone without AI skills right now. So, and for us as an educators, actually, we have to get that in mind, and we have to prepare the future workforce with this in mind, and we have to do things. That AI adoption is going very, very fast. A lot of leaders actually understanding that and don't really want to get some new employees without any AI skills. So this is something for us actually to take in action. Okay, and that's what we do in voicee really. So we try to build the AI educators community. So this is a myth actually across the education system, that AI is actually for only techies and people with a kind of a technical skills, but it's really not. So AI is actually for everybody, and there are a lot of AI tools and a lot of AI solutions for educators have already been developed, and quite a lot of educators are using these tools, and probably you have to start using them already. And again, this is even though this it sounds like it is very, really techy, but it's really not. So everybody, even without any kind of a tech skills and digital skills, actually can use that with a very with a huge benefits for themselves. So, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to demystify AI for teachers, for educators, for professors, and for the educational community. So this is what we do, and this is what we invest a lot in. And then we also have, on the top of that, we have an AI Academy, where we basically trying to help you to upskill with AI and to try to get you started with AI. So this is the AI educators community, what we're running. Please join us and stay updated with all the insights, what we would like to share with you. We run these online sessions on a regular basis. All the updates and all the even recordings of these sessions are available on the platform. So please sign up. This is free for every educator. So please sign up and stay tuned for some updates and for some our platform development as well. We specifically built this community hub for you to to get some insight on AI for your research or teaching. And now, let me introduce our today's speaker, Professor Jason Gulya. He's a professor at Berkeley College in the US, and he's also an AI strategist. He's offering sort of a practical advice on kind of integrating AI in your classroom or in your institution.
All right, awesome. And I'll share my screen in a second. So hi, everyone. I'm Jason. So my goal is to just kind of give a little bit of snippet of some of the ways that I use custom chatbots, and I'll kind of walk through that a little bit. But the first thing I want to do is actually want to start with everyone here in the chat. So hop in the chat if you're not there already, and just type in anything that comes to mind. It can be a word, it can be a motion, anything at all that comes to mind when you think of chatbots, because they're their own individual things. So when you think of the word chatbot, what pops into your head? And you can just write your answers in the chat. Great relief. Awesome. Give everyone another few more seconds. Trained helper, personalization, critical thinking, quick turnaround. I love that one. Avina says tech support, which is a great use for it. Rifa says assistance. Awesome. Yeah, Mary mentioned unlimited possibilities. So there are a lot of different approaches, a lot of different ways to use it. And Veronica says innovation, specifically in the educational space. I think that totally makes sense, and I agree with you. Yes, and Nerman, I love this point, says they're not always helpful. There are ways that chatbots can go wrong. There's a lot that needs to go in the background. I'll talk about that today in terms of making them as helpful as possible. Yeah, personalized teacher. So I love those answers. One of the things that really sticks out to me when we think about chatbots is that focus on personalization. And one of the things that I'll talk about today is how there are these different chatbots that we can make based off of the audience. So as a teacher, as someone who's interacting with students every day, some of us may be making student-facing chatbots, right? And because we have that audience in mind, right, because we can use chatbots to personalize the experience, it kind of changes what we can make. And one of the things that I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a slightly different approach. I'm going to talk not so much about the student-facing part, although during Q&A, if you want to talk about that, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I use. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the you-facing chatbot. So things that you can create to help yourself out. So this is where we can really have a chatbot that we can go back to again and again. And this is where we can save a lot of time. So honestly, with a lot of AI, it might not save you that much time. It's more for brainstorming. That's really good. But a lot of us want to use AI to actually be more efficient, get more things done, come up with more ideas, and do things faster. So for today, because I just have a little bit of time with you, I'm going to focus on that. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, and this should work. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Awesome. So it is working. Give it 1 second and it should be up and running. All right. So you should see my screen now. So I'm going to talk about using custom chatbots to transform teaching, or at the very least, figure out how we can do things a little bit more efficiently. Because if you're anything like me, especially early on, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use these programs, and I use them to build things, right? So build things and also brainstorm. So if I'm in any sort of rut, if I'm not sure how to move forward with something, and I do this for my research and my writing, and I also do this for my teaching all the time, that's when I bring an AI in. I bring a chatbot like ChatGPT, Gemini, anything like that into the conversation, and I use it to bounce ideas off of. And one of the things that I realized was that I needed a more efficient way to do that. That was useful, but I wanted to find a way to have a shortcut for it. And that's what I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to focus on how we can use custom chatbots as shortcuts. And I'll go move that so you can see everything. All right. So what I want to talk about first is what is a custom chatbot. So some of us already know what this is based off of that chat, right? We talked about personalization. We talked about creating a chatbot that really is set up for you or set up for a student. One of the things that really happened when programs like ChatGPT became kind of immediately accessible to millions of people is that we saw this emergence of these copy and paste prompts, right? And you can find them online if you go on basically any site, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, LinkedIn. They all had these lists of prompts that you could copy and paste. Now, I think that was useful for a lot of us to get a sense of what you could do. But that's not really the promise of AI, because a lot of prompts, so if we're using something like ChatGPT, we can copy and paste them because their usefulness is context specific. So what you want to get out of a program like ChatGPT might be very, very different than from what I want to get out of it. And it might be very different from what Eugene gets out of it. So it's kind of weird to have copy and paste prompts. So I'm going to lean into that by saying that actually one of the best ways to use AI right now as a teacher is to have customized chatbots. So this allows you to take something like ChatGPT, and actually a lot of programs do it now, and you can tailor it to yourself. And there are particular reasons why we might use them. One, if we have something that we do again and again and again and again. So as teachers, we have a lot of these, right? So creating rubrics, we do constantly. Creating lesson plans, we do constantly. Writing recommendations, we do constantly. So tip number one for thinking about using a customized chatbot is to think about
شوية الهبل الواحد بيعملها كتير قوي قوي.
And someone else is unmuted. I don't know if I'm allowed to mute her or not. All right, cool. All right, so think about something that you do again and again as a teacher, because that's where you're going to save a lot of time. And so what that does is it puts you in a space when you can create a shortcut, right? So if you are using AI for something, whether it's brainstorming or creating something, you can design something that you can just simply run again and again. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. And what I actually want to do, if you let me go forward, is I want to start off by focusing on building something with ChatGPT. Get a sense of what this looks like. So what I'm going to open ChatGPT, and this is probably the program that many of us are used to. And I'm going to go and I'll make sure it has the right model. It'll take a second to come up. So I'm going to use 4.0. All right, so it comes up automatically. Awesome. So this is the one that if you have an OpenAI account, you have access to for free. All right, so that's why I will use it, and I will zoom in so everyone can see what happens a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run an exercise. And this is something I do all the time. And I'm not going to make a hypothetical. My goal is to make this session as practical as I possibly can, giving you something that you can do now, right? Get a sense of how you can use this kind of customized chatbot. So one of the things that I do all the time is I teach writing and research. And a lot of us probably teach a course that is very much like that. So basically an introduction to writing course. So if I am stuck, say I am teaching on a particular lesson, right, a particular topic, and I'm stuck and I just don't know how to do it, right? But I want to boost engagement. Right, I actually went through this a couple weeks ago. I wanted to boost engagement. I felt like my students needed something a little bit different. They needed, a game, right? I decided that a gamified learning portion of the class would help them kind of get into it, move them around, all that sort of stuff. So what I did is I started prompting, right? So I go in, and a lot of us do this already, right? Sue, you are an experienced teacher who focuses on student-centered learning, right? And you can give more and more information. So a lot of us, if you've used AI before, you might have a particular framework you use, right? It doesn't matter. What really matters is that you're giving the program as much context as you can, right? The more context it has, the more useful it's going to be. right? So, and here I can say, you believe in student agency in the classroom and in gamified learning. Right, so here, and I want you to get a sense of how slow this is. Right, so now what I need to do as a teacher is I need to sit there and I need to think about what makes good gamified learning. ChatGPT does not know. It does not have that information. It might have some sense of what a game is, and it might have some sense of like how you can use it in an educational setting, but it doesn't have evidence-based principles. So if you send something into it, you may get something good. You may get something that's kind of bland. Usually I get something that's pretty bland. So what I have to do now, and again, the point here is kind of the slowness of it and the work that goes into it, is I need to let it know what gamified learning is, right? In good gamified learning, students make decisions that have specific and immediate outcomes, and they get feedback. And so here, this is another moment when I can give a lot of context. I can slow down. I can let it know about what that looks like. I can give it examples. I can do all of these things. And all of this takes time. So every single time I want to run this for this class, I have to set it up again. I have to let it know who I want it to be, what kind of learning I want it to create. I have to let it know what the principles of gamified learning are. I have to reset it up again and again and again and again. Right? I'm not going to do that because that will take quite a bit of time. I just want to show like what that process can look like if you want a really, really good outcome. But what I am going to do, I'll sort of cut that off there, and I will say, you will brainstorm with me. Give me 3 options for a lesson on, and this is where, we can really adapt this for the individual day. I'm just going to put in a random one. Imagine I am teaching comma splices. So I'm just going to do a very basic, just kind of let you know what it looks like, a very basic grammar lesson, right? So I'm going to run it through. And it's going to give me actually 2 versions, which is kind of cool. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it doesn't. All right, I'm going to scroll to the top. I'm going to let it do its thing below. But as it does that, I'm going to scroll you through and give you a sense of what it did. All right, so it says, certainly, I'm going to do these things, right? And it gives me those 3 gamified options, right? So I'll scroll down and see. So you can kind of see both side by side. You can choose between them, or you can ask it to regenerate. So we have an adventure game. We have a choose your path game. It gives the game concept. It gives how it works, right? So pretty good, right? Sentence showdown. Okay, might work for some students, might not. Grammar boss, the battle of the comma splice. So grammar warriors, comma splice monsters, might not want to do that one. So anytime you do a brainstorming exercise, some will be good, some will be bad, right? So I'm definitely going to skip that one. I don't really like it, right? And this is, what we kind of do when we use AI. We use it to get started. We don't use it as an endpoint, right? So here, solve the sentence mystery might be okay. Escape room challenge. You know what? Sometimes those work with my students. They really don't. I like the idea of it, but I know for my own individual students in this class, that will not work. I've tried it. I don't find it that engaging. And that's just based off of the class, based off students. You know your students, right? This is where you really lean into your own expertise and your own contextual knowledge of your students. You know them way better than this chatbot ever will. So that's when you really use that knowledge. So, and I can go and I can say, I prefer this response, right? I can say, all right, I like this one. And then I can give it feedback. I can say, oh, I liked this one. I didn't love that one, so on and so forth. Now, I did the bare bones. I did just a tiny bit. And that actually took me quite a bit of time. Right? I fast forwarded it a little bit because we don't have a huge session here today. But every time I do that, every time I go in for that class, I have to redo that. I have to reset it up, right? Or I have to find this individual text thread, and it can just take a lot of time. So this is something that I ask for a lot. So if I get stuck with that specific class and want to think about just different ways of approaching it, I'm going to use a customized chatbot. So I'm going to go back here. So now that's the just building with ChatGPT version. Now I'm going to do a custom chatbot. Now I'm going to let you just see how it works. And then I'll give you a little bit of a background for it. I'll give you a quick peek behind the scenes. And you can do this kind of thing with a lot of different programs. You actually have free versions of it, right? So I did this with the custom GPT version of ChatGPT, but there are free ones too out there. If you have any questions about this in the Q&A, I can walk through them. So what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to say, I'm teaching on comma splices. That is it. It took me 3 seconds. I'm going to send it in. Now, I didn't have to set it up. I didn't have to give it contextual knowledge. I didn't have to put in that prompt. Instead, all I did was let it know what I am teaching today. And I get an answer basically immediately. If actually let me scroll down. This is my computer. This is not a reflection on ChatGPT. There you go. All right, so comma splice showdown, right? And it actually gives me much better than what I got. I like thinking about a gamified introduction. So it has that structure. So I created this, right? I built this. So it has that gamified introduction. I actually don't like games that go over an hour. I think that there's a law of the diminishing returns. I actually think that for this class, for my students, these games should be short. They should be 10 minutes, right? And then from there, we go into chunks. So understanding comma splices, sentence repair workshop, interactive group writing, peer review exercise, and a reflection. So this, I would say, is significantly better than what I just got from all that prompting, all that setting up, right? I actually kind of like that one. Comma detective game, again, quick game, 5 to 10 minutes. Then you go into chunks, right? Coordinating conjunctions, correcting comma splices. So a little bit different in the approach, and then it ends with reflection. Now, again, this is there. This structure is there because of me. This is not something that ChatGPT has. This is something that I told it to do. And again, you have this third one. And now, same thing, if you like, as with ChatGPT in general, if you like some of it, you can let it know. If you want more like that, I can come in and say, oh, I really like number 1. I want more like number 1. And this saves me a ton of time. So if I'm going to ChatGPT and I'm doing this, I'm trying to build this kind of lesson plan, this sort of idea, I have to go through all of that work. Then with my custom GPT, I can run it again and again and again and again and again, and I just need a sentence. I actually could have just put a comma splice, and that would have been it. And this is a custom GPT. This is a custom chatbot that saves me a ton of time, and I keep running it. So how do I do it? I'm going to give you a very quick peek into it. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to show you. So I have my custom chatbots that are just on GPT. It's on ChatGPT's website. I'm going to bring this one up. You can see I have a whole list of them, a whole bunch of them that I test out. So I'm going to bring in this one. I'm going to show you a little bit about what I did. So when you go in, you can edit it. So you can make this entirely your own. But what I did was I have this. So this is a lesson plan for this specific class, right? Again, so for me, one of the best uses of a customized chatbot on the teacher side is when we have a specific thing that we run again and again and again, right? That's where we're going to save a lot of time. And you can see this is, I gave a very quick snippet about what I wanted it to do. And I'm just going to actually let me scroll down. There we go. And one of the reasons that it did all of that is because I told it to. When I go in and I use my customized chatbot, this prompt automatically runs. So you're an expert professor who focuses on student-centered activities that encourage community presence, human connection, and the writing process. I give it detailed instructions, right? This is why the output is so much better. Right? This is why, even with a sentence, I get a much better output than something I might build with ChatGPT over 30 minutes or an hour. I give it details, right? This actually is a little bit of a hack for you if you're using ChatGPT. Keep all lesson plans short. Don't blab. This sentence, don't blab, actually works extremely well. There's actually research on it that it actually tells it to keep it short. Otherwise, ChatGPT will keep going and going and going and going. And then I let it know, this is what I want it to do. Now, here's the really neat thing. This is what really helps me out. I uploaded a book. So I went online. I found an open access, right, free books. This is something that someone put out there just for the public, right? Don't use anything that is fully copyrighted, anything like that. You want to be mindful of that. So I use a fully open access book. And this is on gamified learning. And it has the principles of gamified learning. And it is a 200 or so page book. So I uploaded the entire thing. And I let it know. And this, again, this is the hack that saves me a lot of time and also just a lot of energy. Oh, yep. So I let it know in the instructions to use that specific text, right? So you are going to work with gamified learning. I'm going to find it over here. You're going to create an icebreaker, and I tell it, use that source, use that book. And so when I create it, it has a lot of information, right? So it knows what I want. It knows the context. It knows those principles of gamified learning. So when I rerun it, when I need to use this chatbot again, it has all that information. I don't have to keep putting it in there again and again and again. So I'm going to cut that off. That's just to give you a very quick peek into what you can build with a customized chatbot. And I do welcome you if you haven't already. I'm going to give you a very quick QR code here. If you want to see some of the things that I do, I know Eugene mentioned this already. So this is specifically to my LinkedIn account where I share a lot of resources. And if you want to see how this connects to everything else, this is probably the quickest way to do that. Or you can reach out to me there as well. You can send me a message. I'll be sure to respond. But this just gives you a little bit more context for how I approach it and how I see this kind of technology, so customized chatbots, as being really, really helpful. It saves us time. And more importantly, it helps us create better learning experiences for students. If I had to go through and just use something like Claude or ChatGPT, I'm not going to get as tailored lesson plans as I would if I have a customized solution that was built by me for me, right? You know what you want. You know what you need for your students. And this is a way to take all of the weirdness that happens with chatbots in general and pushes against that and makes it more tailored to something that you need. And that was it. That's all I wanted to share today. Thank you so much.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. It's that was really, really kind of practical. I was actually expecting. I didn't expect that you will even show how it is actually how it is working and how to actually to operate with it. But that was really good. Thank you very much for that. So I really hope that people who actually join us got this kind of a sneak peek and hopefully can use it, because I think we also can encourage everybody to try it out, because it's available for everyone to join. I'm not sure whether they have a free option actually to go for and build the custom chatbots on your own, but maybe there are some options for this.
My guess is that that's going to happen soon. ChatGPT doesn't, but other programs do. So like Poe does, right? If anyone wants information about this, you can use it for free. And when, because I know someone questioned this in the chat as well, when I create this customized chatbot, I can make it available to anyone. I can actually pop it in the chat now. You can use it as long as you have an OpenAI account, even a free one.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's actually, yes, exactly. And I think you mentioned previously that you also sharing it with your students, and your students actually are working and playing with that. So that's amazing, and that's actually one of the biggest insight for me, is that you can implement it into the classroom directly, and your students actually can do that. And you can also kind of innovate with the assessment practices with these chatbots, and I think that's where we are heading. Not sure about that, but what do you think about that, Jason? Will we have new kind of assessment methods anytime soon? Hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's happening. So a lot of us are sort of working on this. So assessment methods that are kind of more aligned with a lot of what our students are using. So one of the things that I'm helping develop now, actually, with Mike Kent's. So Mike Kent has this framework for grading chats. And I do this as well. That one of the ways that I use this technology is, for my writing class, my students focus on argument. Right? That's a lot of what we do. Think about how we find information, how we synthesize it, how we come up with our own argument. And so one of the things that I do with them is I give them this kind of chatbot. I create the same kind of thing you see here. If anyone's curious about it, I'm more than happy to share more about it. But it's a contrarian chatbot. So they go in, they say hi, and the chatbot pushes against their argument, and it is created to find out their assumptions, right? And at the end, I have students just copy the entire chat. So in the upper right part of ChatGPT, again, you can do this with free. You can send the link to the entire chat, and I look at that. I assess that. And that gives me a lot of information about how the student is thinking, whether they're able to push against the chatbot, how they're doing with argument, all that stuff. So I think that there are assessment methods now sort of starting to happen. And that is one of them that I'm excited about.
Can we ask Chatbot to use the attached file only?
Yes, you can. But if you do create something like this, I definitely recommend just running it quite a few times and making sure. So you can do it. You can kind of set parameters for the chatbot, but be very, very, very specific. So if you are doing that, one tip for you, when you upload things. So say you have a book you want to use, or a PDF, or whatever you want to use, pay attention to the label. So one thing that I use is like evidence number 1. And in your prompt, refer to it only as evidence number 1, right? Say, if you're going to answer this question, only use evidence 1, or whatever label you give to it. So be sure to track that. If there's any sort of like vagueness, then ChatGPT or any program will sort of do its own thing. So you can do it. It just takes some work and iteration. A lot of it is just, you create the prompt, you run it, you kind of notice what's there, and then you revise it as you go along, right? I didn't write this prompt in one go, right? It takes a little bit of time. It takes a lot of it. And this is a lot of, if you do decide to take the course or anything like that, then this is what we can talk about, right? Running it and revising it is a huge part of the process. Prompting is not something you master and then you just go on your merry way. It's something you have to continually do. You run a prompt, and sometimes it's surprising what you get, even if you've been doing it for 2 years. And then you just pivot and revise and go from there.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, and I don't think that we have a kind of a new role as a kind of a prompt engineer. So it's everybody will become the prompt engineers anyway. So that's I think that the sooner you start, the better actually you will be in that. And that this is how we're gonna communicate with the computers. That's why we are communicating with computers right now, actually. So again, guys, if you would like to know more, and if you would like to kind of master this ChatGPT, not only ChatGPT, but these kind of AI chatbots development, if you would like to know more about that, if you'd like to build your own chatbots, please consider joining our AI Educators Bootcamp, which is kind of available basically for everybody. We tend to do the group learning for institutions, but again, there will be some options where you guys can join individually. So please, again, join our AI educators community. We publish all the updates and all the available the sessions, free sessions as well. Again, thank you very much, Jason. I don't know if I missed any questions in the chat. Can probably not.
I think you got all of them as you were going through. And I know I jumped through it, and answer some of them too out of order. Sorry about that. But yeah, I
Cool.
think
Thank
you
you very
got all of them. I don't, people can hop in and ask what they want, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. Okay, that's good. Again, thank you very much, Jason, and thank you for sharing your ideas and insights. Thank you guys for joining us.